It's 1-2 on Aaron Judge. As Judge cranks that high, deep, and gone.
Aaron Judge broke the American League single-season home run record last year and almost hit for the Triple Crown. And this year, he's changing his swing. What? You might be wondering, what the hell is he thinking? Well, he's making adjustments to his two-strike approach. So he's only changing his swing about half the time, since approximately 50% of Major League at-bats go to two strikes. But still, that's a lot of changing for someone that just had one of the greatest seasons in MLB history. Now, why would Judge think of doing something so crazy? Well, for all the success that he's had with hitting home runs, striking out has been a major issue for him. Now, let's look at some of his numbers quick from last season. Now, it's pretty easy when looking at this chart from Baseball Savant that when he hits the ball, he hit ball hard and far. Those 99s and 100s basically put him at the absolute top of the league with all categories, including average exit velocity, max exit velocity, hard hit percentage, expected weighted on base average, expected batting average, expected slugging percentage. All of those are in the 99th or 100th percentile of the league. But there is an issue, and the issue is actually the balls that he doesn't hit. His two blue numbers on this chart put him in the bottom of the league in both K and whiff percentage. And Judge wants to change that. Now, there was an article by Joel Sherman talking about why he's making those changes. I'll put the link in the article in the description below. I'll give you some of the facts from there. We'll look at the swing changes that he's made, and then I'll give you my opinion on the swing changes, because I've been through about 1,000 swing changes during my lifetime. So first, let's look at Judge's normal swing, and then we'll compare it to his new swing with two strikes. So I synced these two clips up. We have Aaron Judge's home run in the playoffs last year with his normal stride, and we have his home run from yesterday with the no stride. And you can see as he prepares to hit, clearly the one on the left, he's going to lift his front foot up much higher, much earlier. On the right, we have just a lift of the heel, and that is it. So the toe never comes off the ground, and then he hits. So simpler, less movement. You notice a few other things too. Again, I don't know if he is doing this subconsciously, doesn't realize it. Definitely starting more open there. Looks like his hands are a little bit more over the plate right there. And so the other thing to keep in mind when you're making these swing changes is sometimes when you do something that you think is subtle, a little bit different stride, whatever it is, it can have an effect on other parts of the swing without hitters even realizing it. But there's the changes. Let's watch it one more time in normal speed. So here's a few quotes from the article. As Aaron Boone said, he's one of those guys who's obsessed with getting better. He finds out who is the best at something because he wants to be the best. So after watching Paul Goldschmidt across the field in a series in St. Louis last year, he met in Florida with the NL MVP during the offseason to discuss the first baseman's two-strike mindset. Judge studied video of how Juan Soto and Bryce Harper alter their foot placement to emphasize contact with two strikes. So this is Judge talking. He said, I told Goldschmidt, I saw you up close and I watched your videos. Talk to me about your approach. He has a smaller, little stride with two strikes and kind of waits there. That's something I want to mix in. How do you do that? What's your thought process in this situation or that? The interesting thing actually when it comes to Goldschmidt's swing is he has this very, very small stride, or basically no stride at all, whether there's no strikes or two strikes. So I also wanted to sync up these two videos. This one right here is Judge again from last night, and here is Goldschmidt in that bat last season. And you can see how they're beginning to look much more similar. So Goldschmidt just kind of picks up that heel again, puts it down. Same thing with Judge, picking up the heel. So Goldschmidt might get another inch or so underneath that foot when he lifts it up, whereas Judge is just kind of lifting up the heel. But very simple, very compact, very little movement. And then he hits. Again, keep in mind though that Goldschmidt does this regardless of the count. So he's not doing this just on two strikes. He's doing this with no strikes, one strike, and two strikes. A Judge did go on to explain that the situation will be dependent. He said, the game is going to talk to me. What is more important here, me driving in a run or me trying to swing for the fences. For Judge, he doesn't want to sacrifice every two-strike swing. After all, he hit an MLB high 21 two-strike homers last year. Now, Milwaukee's Rowdy Tellez had 17, but no one else had more than 14, and still Judge wants to be situational. He mentioned, for example, leading off a game to try to ignite a rally, or with a runner on third and less than 2 out. He drove in 16 of 32 last year in that situation, basically the MLB average. So here's Judge again. He said, how can I get the barrel on the baseball 10% or 15% more? Hitting coach Dylan Lawson said Judge will spread out more with his legs and not lift his front foot. And he, quote, is in such a good place with his pre-two-strike swing that he can add something without taking away from other things. With regards to shortening, it's just a tool he wants in his back pocket to use when necessary. So last year, Judge had 396 plate appearances with 2 strikes, and that's tied for third in the majors. And in those appearances, he hit 194, which is 72nd among 188 players with at least 200 two-strike plate appearances. His on-base percentage was .301 in those situations, which was 26th, and his slugging was .399, which was 6th. His 700 OPS was 4th. Now here's another issue in the postseason last year. Judge was 1 for 23 with 1 walk and 15 strikeouts after the count reached 2 strikes. The hit was an infield single, and he had an infield single in his only at-bat with 2 strikes in the 2021 wild card loss to the Red Sox. Judge was 0 for 16 with a walk with 2 strikes during the 2020 playoffs. So when it comes to two-strike approaches, players are taught to make adjustments. When you get to 2 strikes, you have to give something to get something. That's something I talk to our players about all the time. And what you are usually giving is a little bit of power for a little bit more contact and the ability to put the ball in play. Now, hitters do this in many ways. Some make physical adjustments like you see Judge doing here. These physical adjustments can be moving closer to the plate to take away the outside pitch, choking up on the bat to give the hitter more back control, spreading out the hitter's feet and their stance, or going with a smaller stride to create more body control. We've seen Bo Bichette do this. We've seen Bryce Harper do this, and many others go with this approach. And now we see Judge trying it out. Now, there are also mental adjustments that you'll make with 2 strikes, but we can save that for another video. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you like the adjustments? Would you make adjustments if you were Judge? Sometimes the toughest thing to do is change when things are going well. But clearly Judge is looking for ways to improve, and he's diagnosed this 2-strike area as his biggest way to make improvement. And I don't disagree with him. His numbers with 2 strikes, as we saw earlier, are not very good. But let's hope that he continues to mash baseballs, especially when he's not in 2-strike counts. So that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, give it a thumbs up, all that good stuff, and we'll talk to you later.